you identified a lineup yet where he gets to be more of a facilitator, where he kind of shines in that role?
Well, it's both. Even when we have our end of the game group or a 3-guard lineup or 2-point guard lineup, he also can be that third point guard in that situation. So there's different situations, different play calls, different play sets that he can have the ball. But anytime in transition he can bust out with and has it, he's got that right to do that. And he and Kyle are doing a good job of reading off of each other when DeMar brings it down, when Kyle brings it down. And then when you throw Fred or DeLon in the mix, they're still doing a good job of deciding when to do that.
When you mentioned this was a conversation you had in the offseason with him, was he open to it? How did you express it to him?
No question. And the thing was, I was letting Kyle know that, we're not calling DeMar the point guard. You're still the point guard. So, but no, DeMar was wide open to it, and he's been gradually getting to that for a while now. I mean, he's brought something new to his game every summer. I remember when we first got here, I was just worried about him throwing it out of the low post, out of a double team. And now he's, handling double team. He's handling blitzes much better, and just doing everything you need a all-around guard to make.
Have you noticed at all it's contagious with even JV and Serge moving around a bit more, looking for each other?
It is. I think it's just the mentality, the mentality everyone has of moving the basketball. 0.5. If you don't have it, now again, there's going to be situations in the game. If you all played basketball, you got to go. You got to play. You got to go one-on-one at some point. But overall, our 0.5 mentality is sinking in. It's not all the way there yet. It's still a work in progress, but it's becoming contagious.
Fred was talking about Pascal after the game the other night and said there are a lot of athletes in the NBA, a lot of guys that are fast, but few guys that use it as much as Pascal does. What do you think separates him in that regard, and how is he able to use it on every possession?
Well, something called youth is one thing that young guys shouldn't get tired. And Pascal's one of those guys that his energy level, his motor is an NBA is a skill that he has. I mean, it goes and goes and goes. I haven't seen, even just messing around, he goes 100 miles an hour. So that's the gift that he has. That's something that's natural for him. And there's other part of his games that he's working on that is going to come with time. But I love the way he's playing now. He's so much more improved from last year as far as handling the basketball, making decisions, reading situations, and not just out there just using all that motor. He's really thinking the game as he's playing hard.
Does he remind you of anyone that you've coached before with that kind of motor?
Whoa. Reggie Evans was that way, but he's far more skilled than Reggie Evans. And no disrespect to Reggie. Reggie was a supreme rebounder, but that type of just all-out motor, never gets tired, always playing, and with more skills, and that's kind of who he reminds me of.
The defense seems to have improved the last few games. What do you think has been the key to that?
Well, again, that's if we could bottle it, Eric, we'd it's something we work on. We just had a good morning of practice with our defense, and it's just something that's going to hopefully continue to get better. Just like our offense has to continue to get better. And one thing that will help that is our shooting. Shooting always makes up for a lot of mistakes. But, again, I still say it's early in the year. We're going to continue to get better. We're going to continue to work. And, hopefully our defense gets even better.
With players like Pascal and OG, how much more opportunity are you afforded to switch compared to years past?
A lot, a whole lot. We just have to be careful in switching Kyle and Fred on the people, and even with them, they're so tough that there's certain matchups you don't mind, and because they get up under them, use their leverage and their toughness to get into guys. But we have to be smart. But OG and Pascal allows us to switch more than we have in the past, and that helps our defense. You don't commit two to the ball. And one thing that also too that hurt us last year was a corner three, and that helps us in that regards too.
If they both of them keep playing the way they are, when the roster's healthy, would you consider inserting them in the starting lineup?
Who?
OG or Pascal to balance up the defense?
We'll see. Right now, OG's our starter. Norm is still out, and we'll see how Norm feels tomorrow. But again, those things will take care of themselves. OG really helps our defense. And not that Norm doesn't, but there's just certain natural threes that OG fits with. Even Pascal now, we're using him at the three some defensively. So, you know, we'll read those situations. That may be a fluid situation as we go forward.
Is there a player type that you're uncomfortable with Pascal guarding? Like a certain type of player?
As OG, yeah, well, you know, we saw Sunday, a guy as dynamic as Bradley Beal is difficult for OG, but that's one way he learns. I guarantee you the next time he sees him, it'll be a different story because you learn. The only way a guy like that is to learn. I promise you, he didn't face a lot of guys like that in Indiana. And so this is good experience for him. It's going to pay off in the long run for all those guys. Again, we're treating Pascal like he's a 10-year vet. We're treating Yak like he's a 10-year vet. We're treating Fred like those guys are second and third years in the league, and Fred. So, you know, they still have a lot to learn, and they're making mistakes, but they're playing hard. They're playing through them, and our older guys are bailing us out in some situations.
Where do you see yourself? I mean, in terms of like the record's 11-5, second in the East.
Yeah, nowhere. If Mike, you know me, I'm nowhere near happy as far as where we are. We still got to grow, got to get better. I promise you, Boston's saying the same thing, and Detroit's saying the same thing. So Cleveland's saying so. We're not a finished product there. There's so many things we can get better at. One is our shooting. You know, we're getting so many open looks, so we got to get to a rhythm to knock them down. Defensively, we're making mistakes on some switches and not to switch in those situations that are getting us in trouble. So all that's going to, you know, hopefully smooth out in the next, you know, month or so, and you know, we'll continue to go. But our whole identity has got to be continued. We can't get bored of trying to get better here in practice. You know, I saw a difference in this year's practice. This time last year, our practices were more like, oh, why are we doing this? But no, the mentality is we know with all the young guys we have, we got to continue to work like it's almost like it's training camp.
Will you change during a game whether you switch or not?
Yes, we do. We do that. And again, everybody says, well, why aren't they doing this on the pick and roll? Believe me, I promise you, Doug. You know, I know you might. I use contacts and I use glasses and everything. I do see what's going on. But there's also, too, a time when you have to make a decision. Is it the coverage or is it the technique in the coverage? And a lot of those shots, no disrespect to OG, he's going to learn, was the technique on those pick and rolls. And, you know, we changed the personnel, we changed the positioning of our bigs. So we see those things to make the changes. And, you know, but again, you got to see some things through your first defense before you make a change to make sure you're doing it right before you switch it. And I thought we did a good job in changing the defense at the right time, even though it didn't look like it. You know, Bradley Beal got hot. And there's different things we do is with our bigs and with our technique on the pick and roll that we will change.
Do you find that the young kids are receptive and intelligent enough to get it done quickly enough?
Well, I think both. I think they're receptive and intelligent enough. I think the speed of the game, the strength of NBA players with young players is the difference. And the only thing that can give you that is experience. Just like you and your writing. Nobody can write like you, Doug.
No,
I know that. They're not as fast as you are. They're not as perceptive as you are. But, again, experience. I wish I could give it to them. And I wish I could just hand OG, here's what's going to happen to you. Here's how you should react to it. But it's just you have to go through it to get it, and that's the issue with young players. And, you know, I'm excited about teaching and watching guys grow and learn as our staff is.
You guys have had great success against Porzingis here. Would you typically just keep doing it till they figure it out? No,
we got some different things we want to do. They're a different team at home, Michael. They're a totally different team at Madison Square Garden, and I don't know why. They play with a much more confidence. He plays with much more confidence there. Their whole team does. And, you know, as they beat Clippers the other night, they had Cleveland down double digits the entire game, beat Charlotte. So it's a lot of, I don't know what it is. So our mindset has to be prepared for a little bit of everything going into how we cover him in Madison Square Garden, as well as Hardaway, as well as keeping Cantor in his place off the board. So we understand and know who we're going up against tomorrow night is going to be a different team than we faced here last week.